So when starting off on this kind of project, I usually like to go first and look at some examples of kind of what I'm trying to make, because I'm going to go for that kind of basic train setup with you have the aisle down the middle, and then two rows of seats on either sides, and then the windows, and then some sort of overhang to put luggage in up here. So that's what we're going to aim for today. So I'm going to hop over into Blender, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tab into edit mode, and I'm going to add two loop cuts like this. And I'm going to just delete all, let's see, let's get rid of everything here except this one segment here. And I'm going to go to the modifier properties and add in a mirror modifier like this, and do this along the Y too. So now we can, edit all of these in one go, and this is going to make it very quick and very easy. We only have to do 1/4 of the train car instead of having to do, everything. I'm going to just add in, let's see, one of these cubes, right, is about a little bigger than a average person. So we know that this is about as tall as a slightly above average person, much wider though. So theoretically, if we were to take our mirror modified cube here and move it up so that, let's select everything, move it up so that it's flush along the Y and X here, and we were to make it longer, right, and make it taller, we can see now that, like, oh, this is a person's height here, right? And this is taller than the person. So we want it just a bit taller, maybe not crazy dramatic. And we definitely want this to be wider because this is too small. So I'm going to go something maybe like that, somewhere in there. And maybe just a bit longer like this. Okay? So that's going to be our train car for now, because we're going to be inside of here. I don't think we'll need this really much anymore. So yeah, let's get started on making this look good. I'm going to probably work in wireframe for right now because it's just, a lot easier to see what you're doing for this kind of thing. And I'm going to add in quickly where the windows should be and where the doors should be. So I'm going to add in an edge loop. I'm going to slide it down to about here at the ends. And the door is going to be in here, so I'm going to add another one. And the door would be between these two places. I'm going to add one for the top of the door, so maybe up here. All right. And then I'm going to add in more for the windows. I want the windows to be kind of low, like so, maybe about here. Because theoretically the people come in, they sit down, so you want the windows to be where they'd be sitting. So if we want to double check this again, we can add in the basic cube, right? So that's a person standing is about this high. So when they're sitting, their head, right, is going to be like down here. So I'd say these windows are at a pretty decent height. All right. And let's see, I'm going to want to add in more edge loops for the windows here. So I'm just going to add it so there's 4 of these segments, right? And now these are going to be very big windows if we add them in like this. So we could do that, and how you do it is you press I to inset. Oh, you press I to inset, then press I again so that you inset the faces separately. And then you basically already have the windows, right? You can inset them a little bit. But those are, kind of big windows. I guess we'll let that slide for right now, because this is an overarching tutorial. It doesn't need to be perfect on the window level. So I'm going to undo what I just did, because we got to remember, we're on the inside of the train, so things we're doing should be getting extruded out, not extruding in. So I'm going to inset those again, like this. I'm going to Alt-E, extrude along normals, inset this out, like that. So now we have some area for the window. And I'm going to go through, I want to round these out a little bit. I'm going to select this little edge loop here, right? Or this edge that's connecting this. I'm going to hold down Alt and Control, and I'm going to select that again. And that's going to select all 4 of these. I'm going to go over to this one. I'm going to hold down Alt, Control, and Shift So that adds what we've already selected and do the same thing again. And good lord, the trucks on this road are so loud. Okay, I'm going to do that for the last one too. Okay? And with all these selected, I'm going to do Control B to bevel and give it kind of a nice bevel and add some loops to it so it's nice and round. One thing I've learned is honestly, because so much of this car is just flat, you might as well put in the time to add in the extra detail and extra like roundness to those few things that do have some roundness to them. So I like to add a lot of edge loops. And so, you know, it's looking like this now. So if we auto shade smooth, that looks pretty nice. Let's go back and look at our reference here. And yeah, let's kind of work on this top bit here real fast. So actually, I'm kind of debating moving the windows down even a bit further. I think that might look better. So I'm going to select all these here. I'm going to move them down just a bit to maybe like right here. That looks better. And theoretically, if this was a train, you know, these would be in over here like that. So this should be like this kind of inset here. I'm going to add in another edge loop here, and I'm going to drag this along the X towards this one until it pops out like that. I'm going to select both of these, drag these in a bit more like that. I'm going to add in another one here, and I'm going to move it up like that. Actually, I'm going to select all these faces here and do SZ0 to make it all flush. So now they're the same. I'm going to select this again, drag this over like that, maybe to here. And I'm going to make another one here. And I'm going to actually slide this, let's see, slide this out like this. And select this face here, these faces, and do SX0 so that they're all flush with each other. Drag this over. And oh boy, wow, what happened here? Okay, that is all right. We'll fix this in a little bit. Just delete that for right now. Delete this too. Delete this as well. And so let's just get rid of that quickly. So I'm going to select these vertices here, E to extrude them, bring them over, and I'm going to go to this mirror modifier and turn on clipping, because that's what the issue was. We need it to clip into itself so that the geometry will not cross over onto the other side. That will save for a lot of issues down the line. And let's see, I'm gonna select fill that. I'm going to select this one here. I'm going to subdivide it like so. Bring this over so that it lines up basically with these. Fill that. And I'm going to select these. Fill that. And let's just make another loop here that goes along the bottom. So that way we can take these to fill that. And I guess we'll have to make another one. So we'll put one here. And we'll fill this. And we'll fill that. Now we can straighten all these out by selecting them, doing SX0. So they're all with each other. You can select these, like this, like that. Minus these. SX0. So they're all with each other. Now they're all perfectly lined up. Excellent. And that's how you can fix your geometry. So let's go back in here. Oh my god. Let's go back in here, and I want to select this, I want to select this, and I want to drag these down just a bit so they're a little bit more low. And I'm going to, let's select this minus these, so just this part. Let's get rid of that too, actually. Ooh. There's a face in here that shouldn't be, so I'm going to select all this, merge vertices by distance, so that should get rid of it. Okay, try this again. So I'm going to select that, deselect these, I'm going to press I to inset them like that. And Alt E. Well, okay. I select all this, deselect these, I to inset like this, Alt E, extrude along normals, and extrude this back like that. And what are these? These are going to be the little compartments that like hold the luggage and stuff. So let's, make these a little bit less intense. I'm going to select these with Control Alt click. I'm going to Shift Control Alt click to select these. Shift Control Alt click to select those. Oop, those and that. Give it a little bevel. Make these less intense, but I'll make it look better. Let's select along this bottom edge here. Everything? Yes. Give that a little bevel of its own. Select this. Give that a little bevel. And the bevels, why they're important, they just will make everything look so much more real when you ray trace. Let's call this train to, let's see. Oh, I already have one called that. There we go. Yeah, and that's one thing to keep in mind is no object is actually completely, sharp. So it's best to add even the smallest little bevel because it will just make it look so much more realistic later on. Same goes for these windows. Let's give them the bevel they deserve like that. Cool. And let's also select these insides like that. We give those a little small little bevel like that. Cool. Let's fix up this aisle just a little bit. I want there to be kind of a lowered portion along here. So let's select all these. Alt E, extrude them down like that, just very slightly. So they look like this. And I think that's a bit too wide, so I'm going to select these edges along here, minus this one. And I'm going to slide them over like that. Okay, so we have like a little walkway here. And again, similar treatment. I don't know why this keeps clipping out, but it's very annoying. All right, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to select this top here, and I'm going to just give this smallest little bevel. You can even almost do 1 or 2, anything like that will just help it look good. Same for down here too. Excellent. Let's see. Okay. Now let's go about putting in where the door would be. So I'm gonna add another edge loop here. And I'm gonna select these. Let's see. I'm going to Alt E, extrude along normals, extrude this out just a bit. I'm thinking this car is just a little too wide though, so I'm going to select everything here, including all this. Scooch it in a little bit. Select all this, scooch it in, select all this, scooch it in. There we go. That should feel just a bit better. Yep. And yeah, this door looks okay. Let's just take this and I'm going to do all the edges, select all these little bits here, deselect these, and just give this a little bevel here. So we want this to look nice. This is an interior, we want it to look nice. I'm going to bring these back just a little bit like this. I'd inset them, but we want to inset everything, so double click I again, so we inset this as one big piece, like that. And extrude again just a little bit. And then I want to add in edge loop here, edge loop here. I'm going to take that one and take that new one we just made and drag them up to here. because we're gonna make a little window for the door. Gonna join those, and I'm going to make another one maybe like here or something. Doesn't really matter, we just want it to look kind of nice. So I'm gonna select this top bit here, select this bottom one, join. To tell you, sometimes navigating in Blender feels so clunky. All right, select the bottom one here, select the top, select the top one, join, and I'm gonna take this face and this SY0, or I'm gonna press SY to scale along the Y and drag them in towards each other. And I'm going to take this face, Alt-E, extrude along normals, extrude it out just a little bit. And select along those edges, and then give that a nice, healthy bevel, like so. Excellent. And if you want to see what this is looking like, you can go to View here. You can go down to Navigation, do Walk Navigation, and press Tab. And then you can actually walk around inside the car. I'm thinking, let's see. We almost might want these doors to be a little taller because I think it's just a little too low. So I'm going to go back out again. I'm going to go into the onion skin view here, and I'm going to select this stuff. Let's see. We don't want this. We just want the door. So I'm going to just select the top of the door here and drag it up. I'm going to deselect these, drag it up some more, deselect that, drag the rest up like that. Cool. And I kind of want the window to be on the same level as the other windows. So maybe something like this. And then I'm going to take this part down and just deselect these, take it down to about here. I think that'll feel a bit better. So if we go back into the walk navigation, yeah, that's doing it for me. It still might be a little low, but I think this is good. All right, let's get on to some seats. I'm actually going to turn off the the mirror for right now, just so we can, see what's happening here. And now I'm wondering, did I go too thin? Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can make this as wide or as narrow as you need for your scene. But yeah, let's get into some seats. I'm going to add in a new cube here, and I'm just gonna model out a basic looking seat. Like, these aren't too complicated. So let's do that. In the side view here, let's see. Good Lord. Okay. I'm going to take this up so it's flat on the ground like this. I'm going to, yeah, let's take this side, bring it in, take this side, bring it in also, bring the top down like that. And let's bring this up. I'm going to, for this, it might help actually, I'm going to take the armature here and go to basic and add in a basic human rig. You can turn this on, I think it's called like arch mesh or something in the add-ons, but so we can kind of get an idea for how this should be. So I'm going to drag it up so it's a bit underneath where his leg would hinge right here, and it does not need to be this wide, so I'm going to bring it in like that. And this will be the bottom cushion. You can see way too wide, so let's bring this in, so maybe like this, and or like a little thinner, somewhere like right in there. I'm going to take this, Shift D to duplicate it, drag it up like here, just put this on top like that, and yeah, let's see. I might do this all segmented, so take this again, Shift D, like here, because I kind of wanted to have that like those like seat bubbly feel to it, and we can like smooth it out later. Let's see. Let's make this part a bit bigger like that, and make this one a bit more scrunched on the X, like so. Okay. And I want this to be kind of bigger back here too. Cool. Let's also make sure that this is down kind of intersecting with this one, like that. And I'm gonna select everything here, Control B to bevel it, give it kind of a nice big bevel, maybe a few less edges is good. Let's move this down again so it's like in here. Auto shade smooth. Okay. I'm going to add a few loops inside of this, just so we can kind of control how the cushion is looking, because I want this to feel cushiony. So I'm going to take these and drag them in just a little bit. Take these, drag them back in just a little bit. Take this, maybe especially back here, drag these down a lot. And I'm going to select these vertices here and drag it down like that. And maybe just, you know, we want these to be a little bit squashed, a little bit disheveled looking. So I might take this, turn this up a little bit, put that here, same kind of thing for here, same kind of thing for here. Because again, we want this to feel like a seat and look like a seat. Something like that. Okay. I don't think that's looking too bad, like it's basic, but another thing we can do is take this, drag it down a little bit like this, scale it in a little bit, take these, scale them in, and drag them down a little bit too, to give it kind of that, you know, this little wing part that comes up. And also, I want to take everything, I think, on this front, like so, and just kind of do SY0 to drag it in a little bit and bring it back like that, just a tad, so that it's also kind of coming out here. I think that'll be okay. I think, well, that's a little sharp. I don't know. It's one of those things, you kind of have to play around with it just a little bit to figure out what exactly looks good and what exactly you like. But once you find something you like, you should go with it. And let's now add in like these little rails here. We could do a little pillow if we wanted. Yeah, so hopping back over, I'm going to go into side view here. I'm going to tab back in edit mode. I'm going to add in a cube. I'm going to make it real nice and small, and position it along here. I'm going to SX0 to drag it in, bring it over. I'm going to make it a little bit longer than the seat is long, but not on this side though. And I'm going to bring it up, let's see, like that. This might be a bit too high. I might take this SC0, scrunch it in a bit more, bring it down more like that. I'm not sure. Somewhere in there. Somewhere in there is good. And let's see. Let's take this. I'm actually going to do something a bit more fancy. And I want this to come here, like so. I'm going to actually take the 3D cursor. I'm going to put it here. And I am going to take this, where is it? Spin tool here with the bottom selected. And I'm going to go to, let's see, the Y. So I can spin it out like this, like so. And I'm going to make sure that it goes 90. And then Alt-E extrude along normal, so extrude it out like that. So we can have like a neat little wraparounds going around the chair, like so. Might make this a bit higher like that. And let's take this side. Make sure you don't have anything else selected. and bring it in. I'm going to take this, Shift D to duplicate it. I'm going to make it a bit bigger and make it come up like this and make it come out. And let's give like this all a little bevel so it looks a little less sharp. You can make it very faint like that. And I'm going to select all these, give it a bevel like that. And let's see. Let's select this end here and this end here. We're going to give it a little bevel too. This, something nice looking, cool. Shade smooth, or auto shade smooth. And let's make like a little, little leg for it here. So I'm going to just take this piece here, shifty it, oh boy, rotate it around like this, bring it underneath, and Alt-E extrude along normal to get it down to the line here. Take this, let's move these faces in just a bit so it's a little bit less dramatic, something like that. Let's take this one up a tad. I'm going to make sort of a little base. I'm going to extrude it out like this and make it a bit wider and longer, like so. And then bring it down. So now it's doing the thing that I wanted to. Cool. I'm going to make sure that this is supported here. So let's see. Looking at this, see these wrap around kind of a bit more close to what this is doing. So I'm going to take this and go into Inmost. I can select the top of that. I'm going to this too. Bring it up so it actually wraps the seat like this, like pretty closely. And this doesn't feel too bad. It feels a little high, so I'm going to just select the top here. Make sure I don't select anything else. Do I have everything? Nope. That's why it's always good to double check that you have everything selected, because sometimes you don't. You just drag it down to about here. Nice. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate them. Bring this to about here. Come on. Bring this over so it's right in the middle. I'm going to drag this up so it intersects like that. Bring that to here. And for this one, I do want it to be kind of longer. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to select this. I'm going to bring it out because I kind of want there to be an actual divider between these seats, just in case, you know, you're sitting with a stranger that you don't really want to interact with, so you don't have to. I'm going to select these again, Shift D, S, X, -1 to, you know, invert it basically. Move it to over here, like so. And now we have our chair clump. So basically what you do then is you take these, let's name this chair, we'll name this train, and you take this chair clump, you move it to where you want, so like along these windows, right? And you make sure it's not intersecting. So let's see. So it's gonna have to go kind of here for it not to intersect. And so the train is going to have to be a tiny bit wider. So I go back on what I initially said. Yeah, it does have to be kind of wide for this to work. So I'm going to select all these outer bits, drag this out nice and big along here, and then kind of tuck this, you know, into that void that's made by that. I guess that's maybe a little too wide. Doesn't have to go quite that wide, just wide enough that it meets up there. Cool. Then I'm going to take these, and I want to conserve as much power as possible. So I'm going to basically instance this chair by doing Alt-D, and that makes it so whatever you do to one, it's going to do to every one of those duplicates. So I'm going to want to keep Alt-D'ing this. Oops. So we'll give enough space for each passenger to be able to get in behind the last one. Alt-D again. Something like that. Alt-D again. Something like that. Okay. So now you've got the rows of chairs going. And let's turn back on, oops, the Y here so I can see this. We're going to take all these chairs, Alt-D, and line them up so that they meet up like this. I need one more down here, Alt-D, like so. Perfect. And we probably want to put all these chairs in their very own collection now because it's getting a little wild. So I'm going to call this chairs. Select all the chairs. They can all go in here. And let's see. I'm going to turn this off, turn off the other, or turn on the other side, turn off this side. So I'm going to select all these chairs just so I have kind of a reference for where they should be going. Alt-D. And slide them along the X so they match up over here. Cool. So now the interior looks like this. And so if we turn on everything, it looks like that. And if we go to view, navigation, walk navigation, it's looking like this. So this is looking pretty cool. A few last things we gotta do before we texture it. I'm gonna hide all these. I want to add in that train door at the end so that you can actually get between the compartments. So I'm going to select these, Alt-E, extrude along normals, drag it out like this. And that looks decent, like so. Let's make this a bit less wide though. I'm going to bring it over like that. And select these. This will be our door, so I'm going to inset it a little bit. Well, no, actually, I'm not. I'm going to take this. I'm going to Shift-D to duplicate it. I'm just going to bring it forward just a little bit. So I'm going to add in another edge loop along here. It's going to be our window. One here, and this one up here is good. So this will be our window area right in here. And let's take this, and it doesn't need to be quite so big because it's just a little like port so you can kind of see through. And like that. And Alt-E, extrude it out like that. I'm going to do the age-old, select all these, bevel them nice and big. Bring this in so it's a bit less extreme. So, and let's also bevel this top here so that this actually looks nice, like it's usable. And let's make a little separation here so it actually feels like it's not just, you know, what should we call it? Like, it's not just part of the wall. So I'm going to select this, hold down Control and click up here. That'll select all these loops. Alt-E, extrude along normals, extrude this out just a little bit. So there's like actually some separation here. Cool. I think this is a bit too extreme. Going to select all of these, rein them back just a little bit like this. That looks good. We can make kind of a little push bar here for people to push to open the door. So come on, Blender. Goodness gracious, you're gonna make me switch back to Maya. Okay. And let's see. I'm going to drag this out a bit. I'm going to add in an edge loop here. Take this, pull it out like so. Select this, Alt-E, extrude along normals to give it some depth and extrude it in. I'm going to take this, duplicate it, bring it in like this. That looks good. Maybe actually a little bit more. Alt-E, extrude along normals to make it bigger. And select all this, S, Z, and then drag up to make kind of a little place you can actually push. This still might be a little too big. Something like that. something that kind of implies like you push here to open the door. Cool. Um, let's add in some lights along the roof here. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to select these bits here. I'm going to do eye and an eye again to inset them separately like that. And let's see. These might be big lights, but they get kind of the point I'm trying to make across. Let's just Alt E and extrude them back up like that. And that looks good. If you really want to take the time, you can make little lights above the seats, but I don't really want to take the time to do that today. Something like this, that looks good. And I'm gonna add little like aisle lights along here as well. So I'm going to add in an edge loop coming here. And what the hell? One more right along here. Okay. So I'm seeing there's a weird thing here. It looks like this got dragged over. I'm gonna drag this back so it actually is over where it should be. Okay. That's very weird. Yeah. Okay, that looks way better. That makes more sense. Cool. Let's get into some shading now. So, let's go ahead and go into cycles. I'm going to turn on GPU and denoise. And let's just go inside. I want this because the outside is going to be very plasticky. Or, shoot. The outside is going to be very metallic looking, but I want the inside to be kind of like a nice plasticky looking interior. I'm going to drag the light in here so we can actually see what we're doing. And this actually looks kind of cool just as is. I'm going to go first, take this and call this train plastic. That'll be our overarching material. Let's keep it kind of a whitish. Like I like this sort of like glossy whitish color. Let's turn down the roughness so that it's all pretty reflective. And let's actually have in that mode, select everything, do U, let's just do cube projection. Okay. So that looks kind of cool like that. Let's start in simple. And just for the outside world, I'm going to add in an HDRI. So I'm going to add an environment like that. I'm going to open an environment. Let's do this one. That'll work well. Okay, let's start with the windows because that's where the light's coming through is going to be kind of important. So let's just select all these window bits here. Going to go here. I'm going to make a new material, new, assign, call this window. And I'm going to remove this, add in a glossy and a transparent. I'm going to mix those together and plug that in. Want the glossy to be very reflective because this is a window. Something like this. You can control how much gloss and how much the outside you see. Probably something in the middle would be pretty good. Okay. Now, so this is starting to make these samples go pretty slow, so that's great. Let's get rid of this light in here because I know that's slowing everything down. You can see it's already going a bit faster. And let's work on these seats real quick. I'm going to hide the train, and just so we can see the seats, we're going to make a new material. I'm going to call this seat blue. And so I want these bits all to be that seat blue. I'm going to control I to I'm going to control I to invert that selection. I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to call this seat plastic. And I'm going to make sure that's assigned. Perfect. And let's actually select these two. Make a new one. Call this seat handle. And make sure that's assigned to. For seat blue, let's make this a nice kind of blue color. I don't want this to be too reflective. And seat handle, what are you doing? There we go. I don't want it to be too reflective or anything. I'm going to turn the roughness down. And see, like these are a little bit glossy. We could make them glossy. I don't know. It feels like weird to do that. I want it to have kind of that leathery look. So let's see. What's the best way to achieve that? Actually, if we do... I think actually if we turn the specular down and turn the roughness down, that actually looks kind of nice, like right there. For the seat plastic, I'm going to turn this to kind of a light gray. I want this to have some roughness because it is plastic, like that. For the seat handle, I'm going to make this be... I don't know why this material is bugging out so much. There we go. I'm going to make this be, let's see, kind of like this darker. So I'm going to have it be kind of a darker brown, like that. And I want this to be very rough and nice and reflective. Cool. The seat blue is especially showing the fact that there's no texture on here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to add in a Musgrave texture. I'm going to plug that height into the normal and add in a bump map. Plug that into the height here. And turn distance to 0.1. Turn that strength down a little bit too, so it has some warble to it. And I'm going to duplicate this so we can see this is what it looks like. I want to make the scale crazy small like this. And we'll keep the detail at 2. I'm going to take the dimension down to 0. I'm going to plug that into the roughness, I think, like that. Add in a color ramp to control it. And I don't want anything to be completely rough, which would be black, so I'm going to change this to gray. I'm going to change this to a lighter gray, and that'll break it up just a little bit. I still think this is a little too rough. Maybe something in there. That's looking kind of nice like that. Now ideally you'd go through, do the same treatment to the plastic too, so you'd select these and copy them, go to like the seat handle, put this in the roughness, and you can see this is what it's looking like right now, except we want this to be much darker, and we want this to be kind of a midpoint there. So you'll actually get some roughness on there, theoretically. I don't know what this is doing, but you should see it. Let's make this here maybe, just to break it up. And yeah, okay. Let's get the train back in here. Let's go through. I'm going to take these top panels. I'm going to add in a new one. Call this train light. Assign that. Let's take this, add in a emission. Plug it in. 3, something in there, not too dark, not too bright, something like that will look good. I'm going to come to the floor, select this little strip here, and add another one. I'm going to select this train light here. I'm going to hit this little copier thing. It says new material, so it's its own thing. I'm going to change this one to a green and make sure that's assigned. So I'm going to make this like 1, so it's a bit less intense, or maybe 2. But I just want some little guides here. I'm going to select along this here and select along this. And I kind of want this to be like a little carpeted place for people to walk. So I'm going to make a new material, sign, let's call this carpet. And I'm going to keep all the materials in Blender. I don't want to add it in any images, so I'm going to make a noise texture here. It's looking like that, so I want to plug this into the base color, like so. And I want to make this nice and small. So bigger number means smaller. Let's see, what is that looking like? I just want to top down. Okay. I'm going to select this with the node wrangler enabled. I'm going to do Control T to bring up this texture leading to a mapping leading to a noise. And I'm going to just want to switch this from generated to UV like that. Okay. I'm going to take this scale, actually, I'm going to make it maybe 10. So it's like this. to make kind of a carpeted looking look. I'm going to take this, plug this down into the normal, take a bump like that, plug it into the height. It's a little too bumpy, so I'm going to put this to 0.1, bring this down a little bit. I'm going to press invert so it actually bumps up. I'm going to plug this into the roughness, add in a color ramp to control it. Now remember what I said, black is reflective, white is not. I actually want to invert this, so the parts that are on top are going to be the most reflective and the stuff at the bottom is going to be the least. Kind of like this. But I don't want it to be that reflective. I want it to be a little more subtle. And we could always, let's see, oops, wrong thing. We can, if we add this in here, like that. Well, no. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to keep the base color empty, and so we can control the overall color here. And that way, we still have the bump in the reflectiveness, so it will still look pretty decent. It's up to you what color you want to make that. I would almost suggest, though, making the rest of this floor be that carpeted material, because I kind of like that carpeted material. So I'm going to just assign that here, like that. So that should look pretty good. Like so. Let's see. If we want to add in some more materials, we can. But I kind of like this simple. Like, I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the really, really simple materials of it all. And it's really easy to go through, you know, and add in any other materials that you want to make it look nice. But anyways, yeah, that's how I would create and shade a train interior. And now you have the knowledge, you can go on to make your own. I hope this was helpful.